guys, what's up? This is Mike, another MLS updater. Today we're going to be looking at some of the talking points from another exciting weekend in MLS. So, we start in Colorado in one of the less exciting games possibly of the weekend, a 1-1 draw between the Rapids and Columbus Crew. But in this game, one of the big talking points would be Diego Rubio breaking his personal MLS goals tally. They're putting him on 12 for the season, scoring from the penalty spot in this game. This is his highest tally, I said, coming after last year's 11. He's now got 12 goals and 6 assists in 22 games. He's been part of 18 of Colorado's 35 goals this season, and a big part of his successes is probably coming from the fact that they brought in Zardes into that side to be the focal point. Not having an out-and-out 9 beforehand, with Rubio having to fill into that spot, limits his game somewhat. He's a great player at finding space and attacking the goal with his head looking up. As a 9, he's too often with his back to goal. If he wants to make those runs in behind defenders, it's always got to be really on transition. So with Zardes coming into the side, it's been brilliant for Rubio as well as the players around him. So likes of Barrios, players with pace who can get in behind the striker if he's holding the ball up, providing that link-up play, as well as having that option of someone in the box, which disrupts what defenders may be predicting what they will be doing as a group. And like we say, Rubio himself has really come alive with that signing of Zardes and finding those spaces in between the defence and the midfield. Now, their attack has been doing well. It's not the best in the league, but it's definitely improving. Their defence is struggling, which is why they are doing impressively well to ensure that they are only 2 points off of Nashville, who are in 7th with 2 games in hand. Now, what has become an issue is the fact that only once in their last 14 games have they won a game by more than 1 goal. All the games are staying far too tight, and that's something that they'll need to be working on to try and give themselves a bit more comfort going into the latter parts of this season and to be challenging once again for playoff football. But for Diego Rubio, a successful season already, and he'll be looking to add more as the season goes by to really push his side into the playoffs come the end of the regular season. So, turning our attention to Florida and Inter Miami got a very impressive 3-2 win over New York City FC. The visitors are struggling in recent matches. That's 3 games without a win now for New York City FC. And Nick Cushing, who's taken over from Ronny Deila earlier in the season. What's been concerning for him, the club and the fans, is the fact that he hasn't changed too much in the way the side has played, has been well reported. The lack of that focal point in Tati Castellanos after his move to Girona in Spain has really caused further issues in their attacking play as well as defending. They're now struggling on the defensive side because that pressing from the front isn't happening. That work that Castellanos did while he was there without possession, when he's out of looking to win the ball back and put defenders under pressure, and this has made New York City FC have to deal with a lot more attacks, having to cope with other sides getting more into the game. And it's something that Cushing really needs to get a hold of. They're now dropping below and off the chase of Philadelphia Union, who not too long ago were in 2nd place in the East. They're now top and making putting a big points down in between them and New York City FC, who have even dropped behind Montreal as well. But let's look at the positive side as well. And Inter Miami, and massive praise needs to go to Chris Henderson. Bringing him in has been vital for Inter Miami in what seems to be another yearly rebuild of a roster. Under the well-documented restrictions that they're on for previous offences, they've had to manage their cap well. They've had to rebuild a squad without star names and big designated players while keeping Higuain up there. The changes have been very, very good. Henderson knows how to build this side, and the introduction of Alejandro Pozuelo has really tied this all together. He opened his account for Inter Miami this weekend, scoring twice, getting the winner, and it's no surprise that Higuain is looking a lot happier amongst the squad, and his celebrations when Pozuelo scored showed how happy he is. Having someone with his ability there between the midfield and the attack to tie everything together, to link it all together, is bringing in those forwards. And now Higuain isn't having to chase all over the park or drop deep to just get on the ball. Now he knows he's got quality behind him and someone who can help some of these other players. Bryce Duke has had a decent start to the year, but he's he's still developing, he's still learning. And being able to see someone like Alejandro Pozuelo day in, day out will definitely help. So it's not the most it's not been the most extravagant squad rebuild that we've seen from Inter Miami, but they seem to be trying to get themselves a little bit more consistent. They're now in those playoff spots, way beyond what was expected of them at the beginning of the season. It's doubtful they will remain there. I think there's other sides who will definitely seem stronger, especially continuing through the rest of this regular season. But Phil Neville and his side should be happy with how things are going at the moment, and they can see a lot of progress amongst the side for the first time since being in MLS. And over in Texas, a dramatic 4-3 win for Austin FC over Sporting Kansas City. And once again, that man Sebastian Driussi puts his case forward for MVP status this season. He has been in incredible form throughout and salvages another win for his side this weekend. He now has a goal or assist in his last 8 games, 6 goals in his last 4 games, a total of 22 goals and assists across the league, which is a league high, which has put his side as the top scorers in MLS with 54. That's one ahead of LAFC with their big names and their big stars, though they do have one game in hand. But Driussi's class, his quality, and turning up in those big moments is exactly what you expect from an MVP. There are plenty of players across MLS who are putting in fantastic performances for their squad. And there will be other names in that mix, but at the moment, they are all chasing Driussi, and Driussi is showing his class and showing his composure, and it's not fazing him. He is there. Come the 94th minute, he's getting that winner. He doesn't switch off. He doesn't have a moment where your defence can relax. He's the MVP frontrunner right now, and it seems hard to imagine another player at the moment to be able to take home that honour at the end of the season. So, we may be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves with this one, but could we see a playoffs without the Seattle Sounders? The CONCACAF Champions League winners this season, the first side in MLS history to do so, are currently sitting just outside by 1 point, trailing Nashville in the Western Conference. They fell to a 2-1 defeat at home to Real Salt Lake again this weekend, and it's another case of a few defensive mix-ups and not taking chances when they're making them. They've had plenty of opportunities. They are by no means not in games. They are always a strong side. This match in particular, they registered 15 attempts at goal and only 3 on target, including the Albert Rusnak goal. There was a number of clear-cut opportunities for Jordan Morris, Christian Roldan that really should have been taken, or at least tested the goalkeeper, but were hit high and wide. There was a number of chances that they made where they were incredibly close, and it was a bit of bad luck. Freddie Montero especially, getting forwards when he came on, had some good chances and could have got himself on the score sheet. But this bad luck seems to keep happening each week. They are making opportunities, but it's just not been that clinical. They have suffered with injuries, as has been well known throughout the season. Losing JP earlier in the season, Obed Vargas comes in. He goes off injured. So there's been changes in the midfield. Raul Ruiz has had his time off through injury, and he's getting himself back up into match fitness and performing well. So they do have these players, and it's not like they are missing a whole host of first team players, but it has been a bit off and on for a few of these players. But what's been quite concerning for them is those defensive mix-ups that leads to the goals. The first one this weekend in transition, a long ball through, And the defence just doesn't get organised at all in transition. They're sprinting back and they're committed to getting back, but no one really is working with the other to try and win the ball back, or at least block that chance. And the second goal, the winner for RSL, Alex Roldan, gets just completely drawn into the centre of the pitch where there's no need to. There's the goalkeeper and a centre back there, I forget who was there, challenging for that ball, and Brody at the back post is able to come in unmarked and take his chance very well to give RSL the win. But these little issues seem to be continuing to happen. Seattle unable to get on the run and really assert their dominance, which they have the quality to do so. This Champions League run at the beginning of the season made the start quite difficult, organising themselves, managing workloads of players. So they've got a lot to do to come through, and this is a very competitive Western Conference. There are a number of teams all fighting for those 5th, 6th and 7th spots, which will go down probably till the end of the season. We could well see the final weekend of the season being very critical in this conference, as well as the East. Across MLS, there's some very well matched sides throughout, and this is something that Seattle are really going to need to work on and build that consistency going forward and start being a little bit more clinical in the final third and a bit more composed in their defensive third. The New York Red Bulls have now taken just one win in their last 8 competitive matches. And previously, being part of that top 4 in the East with that points gap ahead of the chasing pack, it has now been chiseled away, and they are only 4 points above 9th place FC Cincinnati at the end of this weekend. A defeat to Orlando City this weekend, a 1-0 defeat. The Red Bulls had 15 attempts on goal and only 1 on target. There is issues with Struber's system with the Red Bulls. It's been spoken about by many people about how if everything doesn't go right, something can go very wrong, and that seems to keep happening at the moment for Red Bulls. The reported interest in left wing back Tolkien, if they were to lose a player like that, would be terrible for the side because of his consistency in that position. They have a number of players performing pretty well. Luquinhas, Lewis Morgan. Obviously, they have issues in centre forward. Klimala, the designated player, just isn't scoring. The system doesn't suit a goal-scoring striker in some ways, but players like Barlow are trying to get amongst the goals, but then there's just not clicking for the striker in any of the ways they're playing at the moment. There's a lot of reliance on the set pieces, Aaron Long getting forwards, and the incredibly quick transition that can occur, but everything is so fast and so chaotic that they're not able to control a game. They are not able to be composed enough when they get hold of the ball. And at times in the season they have been. They have thrived on the chaos and the players have been happy amongst all of that. But as the run seems to be hitting some speed bumps along the way, it's taken a little dent out of the confidence of some of these players, it seems. And they're just not able to take these chances when they come. They're not fast enough and confident enough to know that they're going to hit the target. They're going to test the goalkeeper. That quick through pass is going to be perfectly weighted. And it's something that Struber's not going to change his whole system. He's not going to make any big changes to how they're going to play, but they need to be looking at some minor tweaks and changes with how that starting 11 and how these subs coming off the bench are affecting games before other sides start to catch them. If they drop slowly down the Eastern Conference, it'll be interesting to see what Struber can do with this side to try and make themselves a little bit more defensively resolute, because at the moment that's a key issue for his side. Some final thoughts on the weekend just been, and a big shout out to CF Montreal, travelling all the way down to Houston, coming away with a 3-2 win over the Dynamo, despite Quito missing a penalty in that game. The Canadian side are now second in the Eastern Conference, overtaking New York City FC, and are proving to be a very difficult side to play against. and a team that will take a lot of confidence going into the playoffs, which they will surely secure come the end of the regular season. And it was particularly nice to see Georgi Mihailovic performing as well as he was at the beginning of the season since coming back from injury. He was on MVP level performances prior to that injury. And for Montreal, this is a massive player to get back in that side. And they're attacking incredibly well. Very much a team to keep an eye on. FC Dallas, a 4-1 win over San Jose. They assert themselves as that third best side in the West at the moment. And they'll be looking to continue their push going into the playoffs as well. Thanks very much for listening, guys. I really appreciate you taking time to watch the video. Please hit that subscribe button and you'll get much more content from me as the weeks go on through the rest of the season. And follow us on the MLS Updater on Twitter, where you can keep updated on any videos that are coming out. And you can follow my personal account on @MikeRice1983. Thanks very much, guys. Take care.